I'm going to start off to show you guys a little bit of a video. It's a short video about, it's a security camera showing a little girl being told she is getting adopted. And just look at the reaction, how happy she is. It's amazing. That is the exact reaction I want to have from my child when I tell this child that I will be adopting them. For that. So, this heartwarming video kind of leads me into why I'm going to talk about my subject is because my husband and I got married. We didn't know we weren't able to have kids. And even though we didn't know that at that time, we decided anyways we were going to adopt. So now that it's after 9 years and we know that, we have been gathering information about how we should start the adoption process and if we should go with agencies or no agencies, if it should be public or not, or more of a private or closed adoption. So with this today, I want to compare for you the pros and cons of adopting a child from a private agency and versus a public agency. Well, when I went into looking into more information, there were two basic websites that I thought were very interesting that gave me much more information about the two private agencies and public agencies. So to describe a little bit about what a private agency, adoption agency offers. According to the adoptionservices.org, they describe private adoption agencies as a licensed state, profit or nonprofit agencies that help the adoptive and birth parents through all the process. The process meaning anything from, they start off with the paperwork, the legal matters, all the fees. They help you with the counseling, the training the parents are supposed to take before the adoption. They help you with making sure that the parents are receiving the counseling so that they don't back up on the adoption. So that is very important. The private agency offers more thorough help like that. One of the things that I found that was like a little bit of a negative about a private agency, more of a con, was that there are more fees to pay with the private agency because they charge for their services, the legal fees, the government paperwork to process all the paperwork through the courts. The medical expenses also can be charged there to take care of the birth mother if they're going to go that route. So there's more fees involved with the private agency versus the when you do a public adoption, which I'll tell you in a bit later. One of the also cons about private agency adoption, it can take a longer time because if you're going to be a parent that is going to want, and it sounds kind of weird, but that you're going to pick your child because of a certain ethnicity or a certain, like if it has a medical condition or not, or if you want a child that's from birth or, you know, certain age, when you have a little bit more of those requests, it takes longer for them to pair you with the birth mother or even just with the child or even with the foster care system. So it could take a little bit longer versus when you actually go public, which you know in a bit. One of the things I do like about the private agencies is that they will help with counseling, so it'll lower the chance of the adoption being disrupted because of birth parents changing their mind, or even to the fact that they make sure that both parents know, or the birth parents know that the child is being put up for adoption, because there has been, of course, times that the father may not know that the child is being placed up for adoption, and then the parents who are adopting don't know that, and they can take the child home with them, and then within a few weeks, give or take, they find out and they can have their child taken away. So it minimizes the risk if you go through a private agency that you will have a disruption with your adoption. Moving on to giving you a little bit of information about public adoption agencies. Public agencies help with much of the same process as the private. The only difference is that usually they're nonprofit, so some are more government-based, which don't give you the exact thorough detail help as do the private. So so with that, but there is actually a positive on this though, that some of the fees, because they're nonprofit, the fees can be lower because they don't charge for their services. Instead, they guide you to different agencies that are nonprofit as well, and can help you also waive or get reimbursed with the fees. One of the things that the public adoption agencies do, since they're nonprofit and mostly government-based, they guide you also to foster care, and that when they send you to foster care, the reason why they do that is because they can give you an idea for the adoptive parents to get an idea about how the adoption is going to work, and also it gives you a higher chance for the adoption process to go faster. I'm going to give you a little statistic. I went a little old school here. Statistics according to the adoptuskids.org, 400,000 children in the foster care, more than 100,000 of them are waiting to be adopted. That is a huge number. So with foster care, as I said, the positive thing about that is that the children, if you want to adopt, I would go this way because of the fact that it can go a little bit faster, and you're also helping one of the many children that are stuck in the system or in a home that they know is not going to be eventually for them to stay. Well, to conclude my speech here, I think there are more pros to private adoption due to more thorough support. However, it can be expensive, especially since most agencies want fees up front. But it can take longer to complete because of being selective. In general, it may seem preferably also to go towards the private adoption agency because you have more specific choices. However, I think that, in my opinion, going through the public adoption, for example, going through the foster care system is more rewarding because there's a lot more kids in the system that need to be helped, and I hope I get to help one in the future.
All right, Jordan, what did you think?
I really enjoyed the video, and then your kind of like introduction, like your background, how you had like your own like personal story. I thought that really was effective in kind of getting us engaged. I didn't really hear like a clear and cut preview of like what we were kind of getting into. I just kind of heard like your thesis statement, which was good, but I think it would have been a little bit better to maybe like break it down into, like you talked about the different fees and everything like that, and just like a little bit more structure to that. And then also there was no, it kind of like lacked visual midway through. I know it's kind of hard you would put like pictures for something like that, but maybe just because it was like a lot of information, it could have helped us with like charts and like the breakdown. Just like while you're giving us the information, we can also kind of look back at it and see. But other than that, I thought it was really good and well rehearsed, and you didn't do like a lot of reading, which was good. You like talked with us. And, yeah.
All right. I kind of agree with the video clip at the beginning. I thought that was a very effective attention device, and you introduced it pretty well. So you got us involved right away. You give us a personal justification at the start of the speech by talking about the process from your perspective, and I like that. I think that that does a good job. Some of that statistical information that you present later on in the speech might also have worked here, talking about the number of kids that are needing homes and are not yet able to have those homes. I think that would give us a little bit more justification for listening to this as well. So your goal is set up pretty well. You know, the preview, the truth is that it's not really that distinctive. You're going to be talking about private adoptions versus public adoptions, and so I'm not sure that there's a lot of additional structural stuff that's necessary there. I do think, though, that I need a little bit more definition of what the difference between it is. It just sounds like it's, oh, well, this, you got two agencies that you're dealing with, a public agency and a private agency, and the private agency pays, you have to pay more for their services, and they have a couple of other services. It really feels like there's got to be more to the difference between public and private adoptions than what you're describing here. Where the adoption originates, for instance, the connection with the family services, or the foster care system, for example. There's got to be some legal issues that go on there, and so I think I need a little bit more definition on those things. There's probably an opportunity for a visual when we're talking about the differences, especially on the fee structures. When you talk about the two different ones, that seems like it would be an obvious table chart where you could talk about, well, here you have to pay X, X, and X, and here you don't pay anything, or it's nominal, or they don't offer that particular kind of service. So if there's nothing that's going on there, and that would be a pretty straightforward thing to add. You had since we're talking about the visuals at this moment, other than the video that you had at the beginning of the speech, you had the one image that was obviously too small for anybody sitting more than a seat back to see. And I don't know if that's, when you were talking about your email to me this morning, I don't know if that had something to do with it. You had a problem with your visual materials.
Nope, but I just did, so I had this as backup.
Yeah, well, the backup thing, we do have the document camera. We could have worked that so you could have seen that picture. And if there was a problem, you can ask for help. I'll do the best I can to help you. I don't know that I would have made any difference in helping you getting your visual materials together, but I could at least try. I think you sound like you know what it is you want to say, but you don't always get the details in there the way you need to say them, and that feels a little bit like it's less prepared than it should be. The subject's an interesting one. I think you've got things to talk about that are important to talk about. I needed a little bit more information on each of those points, and some of the information I got seemed like it was just, like I said, it's talking about incidentals as opposed to what the process is like. If the process is pretty much the same, then it sounds like a private adoption is just, well, you're getting the luxury version instead of the standard model. But if there is a difference in how the procedure works, I don't know what that difference is based on what the descriptions that you gave us. And I suspect that there are differences, and that's why they operate in different ways. But I could be wrong on that. It's just hard for me to tell from the presentation that you gave. All right, thank you.